Hey everyone, I thought it might be fun to assemble and paint an Imperial Knight or two for a video, and fortunately I was able to track down a still on sprue Renegade box from eBay, so let's open it up and wait. Okay, all joking aside, in this video I'll be putting together and painting a pair of epic scale Imperial Knights that I was able to find still on their sprues. For those that may be newer to the hobby, Epic was a game system from Games Workshop that was supported from 1988 to 2013. It had many incarnations, the earliest of which weren't even called Epic, but it's easiest to think of it as 40k but with much smaller models allowing for much bigger armies to be fielded. Think Adeptus Titanicus but at a slightly different scale with tanks and utterly adorable infantry. Given the year printed on these sprues, these plastic knights would have come from Epic's 2nd edition and are Knight Paladins specifically. They're very similar in construction to the monopose orcs I put together a while back, just with both arms being posable rather than just one. But without further ado, let's get this one off the sprue and see how it looks. So here we are, one tiny Knight Paladin prior to gluing or tidying up. I don't have any of the current Adeptus Titanicus knights to compare to for scale, but from what I understand those are about as tall as a Primaris, so yeah, these are pretty short comparatively. They are a different scale after all. But still, everything fits together easily, as you would expect from this sort of model, so now to remove all the mould lines and glue them together. Now I'm not doing any conversion work on these, but I am going to remove this little ridge from the bases, mostly because I cannot fathom what its purpose is, but also since it's not present on any of the painted examples I could find either. Seriously, if you know why this is there, please let me know in the comments, I'm genuinely curious. Anyway, with this one assembled, I'm going to throw on some astrogranite debris to the base. This will give the base the texture I need for what I plan to do to it later. And with that done, he's ready for priming, which I shall do with Chaos Black Spray. At this point, both the knights are ready for painting, although I'll only be going through the process in detail with one. And to keep things nice and old school, yeah, I'm going with a goblin green base. Well, okay, it's actually war boss green, but close enough. I will be keeping a black rim on them though, just as some concession to modernity. So now I'll lay down some flat colours. I'm going for House Terran on this one. I thought it would be fun to combine such an old model with a modern paint scheme. Also, I've put the colours I've used up on screen, just so you know. Also at this stage I did a few layers of dry brushing to the base to make it look as authentic to the time as I could manage. Next up I went over the model with some washes, taking care to only apply them in the recesses and neatening up anywhere where I went a bit overboard. I used Agrax Earthshade on the gold and bone areas and used Nuln Oil for everywhere else. At this point I also dotted some paint on the rivets and painted the eyes. Finally, I edge highlighted everything and painted the iconography, which was harder than I anticipated since the pauldrons on these are about half the size of one on a Space Marine. Still, I think I managed pretty decently, although I did end up buying some smaller brushes after this for future models because I was really pushing the limits as to how small I could paint using the brushes that I already had. But regardless, I'm pretty happy with this one, although I didn't just paint the one of course, I painted two. I wanted to do the other one in Mechanicus colours, so I ended up going with House Tyrannus, possibly due to the Renegade box art on our wall that has been subconsciously suggesting so. I think I prefer this one, honestly, with the stark coloration feeling very right on a model that comes from an era of brightly coloured paint schemes. The techniques used on this one were exactly the same as on the other one, just with different colours. So, you know, flat colour, wash, highlight. You might be wondering how these compare size-wise to some other models, so here's what they look like compared to epic scale infantry, here's what they look like compared to a modern regular marine, and here's what they look like compared to a modern full-size knight. The knight is Snipes, by the way, I haven't actually got around to painting mine, even though I suppose I have finished painting 2 whole knights now, technically speaking, so I guess I win. All in all, these knights are nice little models to paint. There is a surprising amount of fine detail on those weapon arms, even if they look quite different to their modern designs. Although this does mean that they aren't instantly recognisable as knights, so given their size, you could totally use them in a modern 40k army as a robot or something, or at least use them as a base for a conversion if you so desired. But yeah, I hope you found this interesting. I'm always painting older models, so I thought this might make for a fun little video, as this is a model that a lot of people were unlikely to pick up for themselves, given that it's from a defunct game. But hey, I suppose there are still people out there playing Epic even if it is discontinued, and I hear the rule set is actually really fun, so maybe one day these lads will see the tabletop. Maybe, who knows. And at the very least it gave me an excuse to paint some goblin green bases again and pretend it was the 90s.